How are you? Are you there? There you go. How are you?
Hi, Salian. How you doing?
Very well. Okay, good. All right, you're
Yeah.
there. Let me give you co-host.
hmm
So to the right, the three buttons made you co-host. And
Thank you.
do you have your screen? Do you want to set up your screen and your music?
Yeah, I've already set it up. So let me okay, just a minute. The presentation. Just a minute. I have the picture for the Skillweed presentation. Let me present it and share my screen.
Yeah,
Just
go
a minute.
ahead.
Share. And also play the music.
Yep. Make sure you have it on repeat, huh?
It's on repeat.
Cool.
Yeah, it's on repeat.
All right. Let me make sure I can hear it.
Can you hear it?
No, I can't yet. I can
Okay,
see
just a
it, but
minute.
I can't hear it.
Oh, you can't hear it. Okay, I think it's the issue might be from my, let me remove my headphones. Maybe you
Yeah,
can hear it.
maybe.
Yeah.
And there's volume and you're on your maybe you have to put the volume up, the audio up on your
Oh
screen.
yeah. Yeah. Can you hear it now?
No.
Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. Let me play it. Can you hear it?
No.
Okay. Let me see if I can hear it. Okay, you can hear it now?
Yeah, I can, but people are coming in. Did you let someone in? Because I
Yeah.
can't hear it now. Hit play.
Yeah, there's someone who's logged in. Can you hear it right now?
No,
It's playing in the background.
I can't. So let me play it. Tell me
Okay.
if you can hear it.
Okay. Let me
And
play. Sure. Let me stop sharing. So
can you
I
hear
just
it?
share the screen. Wait.
Can you hear it now?
Yeah, I can clearly hear it. Yeah, right now
All
it's
right.
okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave it on. You let
Mhm.
everybody in, and then I'll take my video off, and then I'll turn it off in about 10 minutes, okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So
Thank
already
you.
there's someone who's logged in, so let's wait for the other experts.
Perfect. Make sure and welcome everybody in chat as they come in, huh, Dietrich?
100%, 100%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel the drums pulsing, the energy so strong. Join the movement where dreams belong. From Lagos to Nairobi, here to go. Skillweed Academy,
Hi, good
down the
evening.
wall.
Welcome to our
Rise
session.
up, feet out, letting the beat guide your way. Unlock your potential, seize the day. From the dance floor to the boardroom, let your light shine, shine. Skillweed Academy, it's your time. Oh, 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 oh. Feel the drums pulsating, the energy so strong. Join the movement where dreams belong. From Lagos to Nairobi, hear the call. Skillweed Academy, break down the walls. In the heart of Africa, a flame ignites, a rhythm so vibrant. It sets minds alight. Skillweed Academy, where leaders of all embrace the tempo. Let your dreams take store. Rise up, leaders, let the beat guide your way. Unlock your potential, seize the day. From the dance floor to the boardroom, let your light shine, shine. Skillweed Academy, it's your time. Feel the drums pulsate and the energy so strong. Join the movement where dreams belong. From Lagos to Nairobi, in the call. Skillweed Academy, break down the walls. Rise up, lead us, let the beat guide your way. Unlock your potential, seize the day. From the dance floor to the boardroom, let your light shine, shine. Skillweed Academy, it's your time. Oh, 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 oh. Feel the drums pulsating, the energy so strong. Join the movement where dreams belong. From Lagos to Nairobi, hear the call. Skillweed Academy, break down the walls. In the heart of Africa, a flame ignites, a rhythm so vibrant. It sets minds alight. Skillweed Academy, where leaders are born. Embrace the tempo, let your dreams take storm. Rise up, leaders, let the beat guide your way. Unlock your potential, seize the day. From the dance floor to the boardroom, let your light shine, shine. Skillweed Academy, it's your time. Feel the drums pulsate and the energy so strong. Join the movement where dreams belong. From Lagos to Nairobi, hear the call. Skillweed Academy, break down the walls. Rise up, lead us, let the beat guide your way. Unlock your potential, seize the day. From the dance floor to the boardroom, let your light shine, shine. Skillweed Academy, it's your time. Oh, 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 oh. Feel the drums pulsating, the energy strong. Join the movement where dreams belong. From Lagos to Nairobi, hear the call. Skillweed Academy, break down the walls. In the heart of Africa, a flame ignites, a rhythm so vibrant. It sets minds alight. Skillweed Academy, where leaders are born. Embrace the tempo, let your dreams take storm. Rise up, leaders, let the beat guide your way. Unlock your potential, seize the day. From the dance floor to the boardroom, let your light shine, shine. Skillweed Academy, it's your time. Feel the drums pulsate and the energy so strong. Join the movement where dreams belong. From Lagos to Nairobi, hear the call. Skillweed Academy, break down the walls. Rise up, lead us, let the beat guide your way. Unlock your potential, seize the day. From the dance floor to the boardroom, let your light shine, shine. Skillweed Academy, it's your time. Oh, 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 oh. Feel the drums pulsating, the energy so strong. Join the movement where dreams belong. From Lagos to Nairobi, hear the call. Skillweed Academy, break down the walls. In the heart of Africa, a flaming night, a rhythm so vibrant. It sets minds alight. Skillweed Academy, where leaders of honor embrace the tempo. Let your dreams take storm. Rise up, leaders, let the beat guide your way. Unlock your potential, seize the day. From the dance floor to the boardroom, let your light shine, shine. Still we have clarity, it's your time. Feel the drums pulsate, and the energy so strong. Join the movement, where dreams belong. From Lagos to Nairobi, hear the call. Skillweed Academy, break down the walls. Rise up, lead us, let the beat guide your way. Unlock your potential, seize the day. From the dance floor to the boardroom, let your light shine, shine. Skillweed Academy, it's your time. Oh, 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 oh. Feel the drums pulsating, the energy so strong. Join the movement where dreams belong. From Lagos to Nairobi, hear the call. Skillweed Academy, break down the walls. In the heart of Africa, a flaming night, a rhythm so vibrant. It sets minds alight. Skillweed Academy, where leaders of honor embrace the tempo. Let your dreams take storm. Rise up, leaders, let the beat guide your way. Unlock your potential, seize the day. From the dance floor to the boardroom, let your light shine, shine. Still we have clarity, it's your time. Feel the drums pulsate, and the energy so strong. Join the movement where dreams belong. From Lagos to Nairobi, hear the call. Skillweed Academy, break down the walls. Rise up, leaders, let the beat guide your way. Unlock your potential, seize the day. From the dance floor to the boardroom, let your light shine, shine. Skillweed Academy, it's your time. Oh, 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 oh. Feel the drums pulsating, the energy so strong. Join the movement where dreams belong. From Lagos to Nairobi, hear the call. Skillweed Academy, break down the walls. In the heart of Africa, a flaming night, a rhythm so vibrant. It sets minds alight. Skillweed Academy, where leaders of honor embrace the tempo. Let your dreams take storm. Rise up, leaders, let the beat guide your way. Unlock your potential, seize the day. From the dance floor to the boardroom, let your light shine, shine. We have clarity, it's your time. Feel the drums pulsate, and the energy so strong. Join the movement where dreams belong. From Lagos to Nairobi, hear the call. Skillweed Academy, break down the walls. Rise up, leaders, let the beat guide your way. Unlock your potential, Seize the day. From the dance floor to the boardroom, let your light shine. Skillweed Academy, it's your oh, 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 feel the drums pulsating, the energy so strong.
Hello, 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 everybody.
From Lagos
Oh,
to Nairobi,
hold on 1 second.
Skillweed Academy,
Hold on 1
break
second.
down.
There we go. Hello, everyone. Are you there? Can you hear me? There you go. All right. I am turning over to hello, Maya. So good to see you. Tammy, I saw your face all the way from Brazil. And Abdul, we see you in here. Yinka, okay, everyone's coming in. All right. Maya, I'm going to put you as co-host and also Tammy, just in case, we have any issues. Hello, Akin, and I'm going to leave you guys to have a fantastic session. We turn it over to Dietrich. Botum, let's go.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. How y'all feeling? Hope you guys are doing good. Hope you guys are doing amazing. Wow, what an amazing day to have this wonderful session. So today we're going to cover sustainability. We have three amazing experts from all over the world. I'd love to introduce them one by one. So let me go ahead and introduce Mrs. Tammy, also Mrs. Maya, and also Mr. Abdul. So these are really, really great people who have taken their own time. Mrs. Tammy, who's a partner at KMPG, who studied at the Harvard Business School. She's from Brazil. Also, we have Mrs. Maya Sherman, who's an AI policy researcher, who's also joining us from India, and she's studied at the Oxford Internet Institute, University of Oxford. And finally, we have Mr. Abdul Majid, who's a cybersecurity expert, who will be joining us from EC Council University, and he'll be joining us from Saudi Arabia. I'd love to know where everybody's joining from. Mr. Dayo and Bimbo, where you guys joining from?
And before everybody shares, don't be shy. Abdul, I want to see your face. Everybody, cameras on.
Everybody, cameras on, yeah, so that we can
Cameras on. Hello, Bimbo. How are you, Akin?
see
Pleasure
the
to
lovely
see you.
faces. Yeah.
Yeah, Abdul,
Yep.
are you able to get your video on?
Yeah, my video's on.
No,
Abdul
Mr.
Majid, sorry.
Abdul Saeed. Yeah, I can't pronounce the whole lot. I'm terrible. Are you able to get your video on, Mr. Saeed? I think he's on mute. He's not hearing us. Okay, I'll work with him off camera, but in the meantime, all the rest of you can get going. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you. I love everyone to turn their camera on so that we can say a big high five to each and everyone. Thank you guys for joining us on today's session on sustainability. Let me reintroduce the amazing experts that we do have today. So we're going to start with Mrs. Tammy. Mrs. Tammy, who's a partner director at KPMG, one of the biggest companies in the world. She is joining us from Sao Paulo, Brazil, the Latin American beautiful continent. She studied this Harvard Business School. Will be joined by Mrs. Maya Sherman, who's an AI policy researcher and ethicist. She'll be joining us from India, and she studied at the Oxford University. Wow, amazing, amazing Ivy League university. So yeah, guys, we can start it. Let me introduce myself. My name is Abdullahi Botan. I'm one of the youngest tech mentors at Gleac and soon to be the youth ambassador for Africa. So yeah, we can start the session. I hope everyone is logged in. I hope everyone can hear. If you guys have any hearing issues, please just message us on the chat. Yeah, Mrs. Sami, please take the floor is yours. Kindly do your magic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Botan. Hi, everyone. A pleasure to be here. Thank you for sharing a bit of your time on a Saturday. I don't know how the weather is like there. It's winter for us here, probably summer for some of you, but it's a sunny day where I'm staying right now. And it's a pleasure to be sharing this with you. The way we divide it is me, Maya, and Abdul. We are going to cover mostly of the topics regarding sustainability, technology, how they cross paths, what you should look at, what are the challenges. We will have a break session in around half of the presentation so we can talk a bit more. But please, 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 we are a small group, so feel free to interrupt us, to ask questions midway, to raise the conversation. It's a really broad topic and it's really hard to make it really succinct so we can focus on the key points here. So whatever drives your doubts on your business or your challenges on your life or your applications, just jump in, ask the questions. We're more than pleased to cover it up. I won't be seeing you because I'm going to be sharing on one screen only, but please do jump in the call in the middle. So someone just came in, so I think we just let him in. I will share my screen. I will share the agenda with you just a second. Oh my God, too many buttons appearing here and I can't see. There you go. Present. So it's loading. Can everyone gives me a thumbs up just for me to be sure that I'm seeing you? Maya, I can see you. Can it's yeah, is my screen showing? Oh, great. Thank you.
Your
Yes.
screen is sharing. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So, so how it started, we're going to be together for around like 1.5 hours. And the main topic of today is this crossover between sustainability and tech. So why is this relevant? Why are we talking? This is our two big topics of the moment. And today we're going to focus on two main drivers when we are talking about technology, which is AI, artificial intelligence. Everyone is talking about it, and cybersecurity as well. So I'm pretty sure that we brought to you a great team of experts that, of course, it's a developing topic, so we might not know everything, but we're more than pleased to share everything we know or look after. But how is the agenda looking? So I will give you a quick intro. You will have to bear with me for the next couple of minutes. I will just give you a quick intro into why are we talking sustainability before entering the tech topic. And then we are going to bring sustainability into the tech world. So how this combine. Botan did a presentation for myself, but I'm more from the tech side of things than from the sustainability side of things. But this thing crosses every time that you need to make a decision. So if you have any questions on how to decide, how to put investments, how to apply time, then feel free to ask as well. The way the agenda is designed is that we are going for the intro. We are covering this crossover between ESG and tech. Then Maya is going to come with the Sustainable Development Goals that we have, the SDGs. Then we are going to go back and applying to a specific technology, which is AI. So we are talking about ethical and AI and how this crosses with sustainability. Then we go to cybersecurity and I with Abul, and then we go back to case studies, so applications on how those topics emerge. In between those sessions, we will have a breakout room, and then at the end, we will have a Q&A for everyone to participate. So just bear with us. Anyway, starting here, why is this relevant? It's really hard to find data on this. So we keep asking, okay, sustainability is relevant. We're talking about sustainable business. We're talking about living long enough to exist and to build legacy and to see the impact that we are rising. But when you think about now, so what's happening now, why is this relevant? The first thing that I brought, and I tried to bring as much data as possible into this because it can be really abstract if we don't take enough attention. The first thing on the left we're going to see is what were the top global risks that the C-level, the C-suite, when the WEF, the World Economic Forum, did research, what were the main challenges that they pointed for 2024? And if we look to the top three, so extreme weather, AI-generated misinformation, and societal political polarization, everything falls into the sustainable ESG category. So we have to understand that these are big concerns. This is what is taking the sleep of our main executives on the world. And why is that? Because all these factors, if we don't take care enough, they might appear and we can't control it. So they can come with a big size and portion of how can I put that? It's a bit of unforeseen risk. We can control when that's going to happen. And second part is it is distructured because they are so complex in the system that if you're doing your part, but the system is not doing the part enough, then you will have the impact anyway. And how do we see this in numbers? Because when we are talking corporate, the main question is, okay, I'm worried about extreme weather, but am I doing enough? If I take care about my ESG practices and my agenda, is this enough? And then I brought this research that McKinsey did for 4 years. So from 2017 to 2021. So it's gathered data they published, I think, last year or this year. And they call it the triple play. And I'm not going to dive deep. It's if anyone is interested in this, I can send the full article. But what we are looking here is if we're seeing companies on the top, they are just ESG outperformers. So they just focus on ESG and they are focusing also into profit. So when compared to the base, they perform less, 1 percentile less. Then if you look ESG and growth, so I'm focusing on top line, so growth revenue, not profit, and I'm looking to ESG, then I grew 3 points percentile more. But if I compare these with a company that looked for profit and revenue, so just financial situation, they outperform 5 percentile points. What does it mean? It means that if we don't do this symbiotic, so we look to the company that we are growing the company, being more profitable and being more sustainable. If we just do part of the sustainability, we are going to perform less than if we look just for the profit and revenues. But if we do the triple play, so we focus on the revenue, we focus on the profit, so top line, bottom line, and we do it in a sustainable way, then we outperform by 7 points percentile. So that goes with what we were discussing on. This is a systemic approach. We can't say, okay, I'm just doing sustainability and this is going to solve all my problems and then I'm going to sell more and I'm going to reach other markets. If we don't have a strategy that focuses on the whole structure, then statistically, the probability is that we are not going to be as good as we were if we were only focusing on the profit part. So that's one thing to highlight when we're talking about sustainability and why it's relevant to discuss before entering to the tech. So I really like this quote from Ross Perot, which is the activist, the one that is complaining and talking about sustainability is not the one that points out that the river is dirty, is the one that cleans up the river. So it's not about saying that we have a problem. It's about being an actor to solve the problem. And that's the big ask that the world is calling for us. So now let's get into how the sustainability and the tech part cross over. But the first thing, and I want to be sure that everyone here knows the basic concept when we're talking about sustainability, especially when we are bringing the innovation. So just a quick recap, when we're talking about innovation, we necessarily are talking about something new. So we are creating something new. Either is a new product, a new process, a new technology. But when we bring this to the sustainable category, it means that we are looking for something new that generates value, but also either reduce the impact on the environmental, either produce a better well-being. So we need to combine the value of the business and also the impact on the society. from the broader sense. So normally that's why we break down historically, we call this so many times and so many letters. So there was sustainable when I did my master's, it was called CSR, corporate social responsibility. Now we're calling it ESG, so environmental, social, and governance. So there are many ways to approach this. I brought some of those for us to discuss, but the main thing is to understand that we have a picture into the environment. So how can we reduce or eliminate the impact into the environment? How we can build a better society. So that's the social part of it. So understanding the social challenges and building a better environment from a social perspective, and the governance. So the transparency, the connectivity, and especially the viability of the business. So these are the three main things that we need to cover when we are going to connect and keep talking today. Another way to approach this is a simpler approach. It's the baseline when we are looking to balance sheets, when we are looking to the financial side. In the mid 1900s, one guy called John Elkerton, he was the father of the beginning of this discussion. So he just simplified the way we approach sustainable, dividing what it's called the triple bottom line. So instead of just looking for profit, which is the balanced bottom line into the finance world, we also need to create two new bottom lines. The bottom line for people. So at the end of the day, am I creating a better world or not? And also a new bottom line for the planet. Am I creating a better planet or not? So I really like this approach because it simplifies and it's easier to question. And we're going to now enter into the strategies and how to connect the tech into it. But it's really easy to approach into this because then we can just reflect like, okay, at the end of the day, is this going to be better for the planet? Is this going to be better for the people? And then it makes easier to then go back and then restructure into all the governance and the regulations that are out there. But I just wanted to leave you with this concept, which I think that is really clear and straightforward. But now it's time to talk business. So we got the bigger concept into the ESG, but how can I bring this into my decision, especially when I'm talking tech, especially when I need to decide investments to accelerate my development and the development of the society? We are going to see at the end of today or today's sessions, the use cases and where those decisions really matter. So we're going to cover on this. But when we are making the decision, when there's normally crossover, the first thing that we need to do is to bring the topic into the discussion. I participated and I can even count the amount of boards where the decision was made without even considering sustainability. So we are deciding and approving something that it's going to be part of the strategy without calling out the sustainability. So the first thing is to incorporate sustainability, is to bring sustainability and the reframing of the decision from the sustainable aspects. The second part of it is still on the sustainability frame, is understanding how systematically and circular those decisions can be. So not only looking to the linear value chain, so okay, I will produce, I will sell, and that's the end or the downstream, but okay, what can I do with downstream so I can reconnect to the upstream and have a circular value chain? So this is really important to understand that we're not talking linearity. I'm not talking, I define, I produce, and I throw to the world, and that's not my problem anymore. So how can I take back and understand what's happening to everything that I produce, either a product or a service? Understanding the stakeholders for transparency, for governance. So what are the people that I'm touching into this value chain? What are the things that directly or indirectly are resonating with my strategy? How can I measure this? Because if I don't measure, I can't even manage, or even if I need to apply to regulations, I can't report because I don't know the information. So measuring is really important for you to be able to better manage, but is also essential if you need to report. And at the end of the day, it's just making the decision. Again, circular is making the decisions that have sustainable technologies into their consideration. And why is that relevant for the decision of technology? The first thing is that sometimes, depending on the industry, you have a regulatory compliance to be adherent to. So it's not a decision, you just need to follow them. So we need to bring that up. The second part is that every time more, the consumers are demanding this responsibility and this positioning for the brands. So it can bring brand value and reputation to your company. You can also have investor or shareholders that are expecting this kind of movement on the decisions that you have. Every time that you see investments report, investor report, relation to the investor, in relation to the shareholders, the calls just bring the expectations of the market, not only from the financial perspective, but also from the sustainable perspective. It can also bring efficiency and cost savings. We are going to address this. How can we bring technology to help us on this? And of course, sustainability is not about only from the environmental impact, but also is sustainable over time. So it makes our business viable over time, and it can allow us to have a longer term impact. So these are the main points, in my opinion, that we need to understand why we should be focusing on this and why it's so cool that we are here on a Saturday discussing on this topic. So just to close on this first intro and then pass to Maya, what are the things that are now happening when we cross those two things, when we cross technology and we cross ESG sustainability? The first thing is technology is helping us make better decisions. So now the data that we need to follow up, technology are helping us to gather this data, either with IoT, so Internet of Things, or with AI, artificial intelligence. We can have real-time monitoring, we can have the dashboards, we can have the baseline and the critical impacts. So we can get the data to make better decisions on the sustainable approach. We can also bring more transparency and accountability because the value chains, they are really dispersed and sometimes they are worldwide. So how can I trust the data? How can I see what's happening? How can I register this? So technology can bring this way to make this a follow-up, to understand what is happening. One of the big examples on the value chains is blockchain. So there's immutable way to register an account. How can it bring transparency to the supply chain to understand that this comes from a labor-free market, or it comes from a place that you don't do problems with the forest? And the third part is technology is allowing us to spread the information broader. So how can we bring up a better community and social engagement? So technology allows us to make this message quicker and also with a lot more content. That's a big responsibility, and it's bringing this inversion. The problem of bringing technology into the sustainability conversation is that technology evolves really fast, which means that it drives a lot of waste. So e-waste, so electronic waste, and resource depletion, which is we are using a lot of natural resources to build up new technologies, is a problem that we need to address when making the decision. The second part is, as we need a way we get this data, or the security entries that we open up to get this data also opens breaches that ends up just focusing to bad ways of interacting with this. data as well. So we need to address this, and we are going to cover this into cybersecurity. And the third bar, and it was one of the big things that UNESCO brought up since last year, which is digital citizenship, is this worry that if we do not allow people to have the same access to technology, what we are going to create is a digital divide, and people are going to be able to access what technology has to provide to us, and the other part is going to be disconnected, and this is going to just put us more apart. So those are the main topics that I wanted to discuss with you. We're definitely going to cover more of those when we call up to the breakout sessions. But I just want to thank you. I'm going to pass over to Maya. And do remember that we're all the crew into this challenge. So Maya, I will pass over to you.
Thank you so much. Love the ending. Could not agree more. I'll just share quickly. Let me know if you're able to see the screen. Just a second. Are we all good?
Yeah.
Great. So building up on, I heard, okay. Building up on some of the insights shared by Tammy, I'm gonna dive into different aspects of the topic, focusing a bit more on how we can actually use artificial intelligence to support the Sustainable Development Goals. I'll speak a bit on what we're currently seeing, what are the common use cases, and a bit on the obstacles, why it's not as common, and how generally the cultural understanding of what AI is can help us understand some of the opportunities and obstacles in the space. Again, I'm very grateful to be back for another session. Again, briefly about myself. I am an AI policy researcher, have been in the space over the last decade. Here in India, I'm working with GPay, now officially under the OECD. I'm co-leading the India project on AI literacy for the informal sector. So doing a lot of work on AI policy in the country, but in the same time, focusing a lot on the ethical opportunities and implications of AI in communities that are not as used to digital saturation. Broadly speaking, and again, it's been up and about, AI has been known to be quite a good agent when it comes to promoting sustainability. There are so many studies, so many conferences, various startups all over speaking about the incredible opportunity of AI in this space, especially as we're thinking on the more technical side of it, of how AI, the predictive analytics, the core features, how all of this can help us solve this wicked problem called climate change, how we can take all the good characteristics and try to put humans and AI together and see how we can moderate the harms. So there are a few testimonies saying that AI can make future life on this planet better. Of course, there are some caveats to this, and this is also the point of this session, to show some of the ambiguities, some of the things that don't work as well. And still, despite the pessimist note, we'll of course try to show also the social side and the potential opportunities that we can see in the space. Broadly speaking, and again, there are plenty of frameworks, but the Sustainable Development Goals are known for the importance. They've been here from 2016, established by the UN under a very interesting goal of having 17 principles, core principles that are supposed to ensure a sustainable and again, prosperous society. We are getting nearer to 2030, and I think that as we're seeing across many of those who oppose some of the not meeting all the goals that we were envisioning in the beginning. And yet, whenever we're in most policymakers, I would say regulators, NGOs, the civil society, when we're trying to envision what human society is supposed to look like, in most cases, we'll be addressing this framework. Not because it's so innovative, but mainly under a very, I would say, core perception that these 17 goals touch most of the core aspects of human lives, of what we would like to see in society. And that's where stamps the importance of seeing how we can use everything we possibly have to make this work. Unfortunately, it's not always working as we want to, and this is also the point of this session, and hopefully to hear more from you in the discussion rooms on what we can do better, how we can use AI or any other technology to make sure that this framework is addressed better. I'll provide some of my own explanations, but there is no right and wrong, and there are plenty of different factors and triggers that can explain why this ideal framework is not fully fulfilled. And many were saying that AI might be the answer, because if we have all of these wonderful goals and humans cannot get into them, meaning today humans cannot guarantee that all will have quality education, there is a significant gender bias, especially in the AI space, which is, of course, is quite paradoxical. We are still not able to find the right formula to guarantee zero hunger societies. And that's where most tech practitioners came and say, let's see how we can use AI. And AI is beneficial, as I will try to show in some of the case studies. But you will see, generally, when we're speaking about AI and SDGs generally, there are some different scholars who try to create this framework, understanding how AI can solve several goals, in what cases it can actually hinder the progress. And this is valuable because we are not seeing that every external factor has been analyzed in the same volume. It also shows the importance of AI for this kind of frameworks. Not too surprising, as we are aware of the scope of AI and how pervasive it became in our day-to-day lives. And the thing is, you will see there are the direct and indirect effects, meaning there are certain goals, there are certain disciplines in which AI directly impacts. And this is important because in societies where AI is properly implemented, we will see certain goals more active and perhaps more fulfilled. In societies in which AI is not properly delivered, or at least not as common, as was rightly mentioned by Tammy before, when it comes to the digital divide, and as we were also speaking about in our first session, this actually inflicts upon a certain distinguish between the areas where AI is more prevalent and where they're not. And here specifically, it shows the connection that AI does not have only technological implication. It's not just about the infrastructure. AI, when properly used, has direct implications and influence on all of these goals. Some of them, it will be through human mediation. So for instance, when it comes to poverty and food security, most of the scholars will say that this is an indirect effect, meaning there is another mediator in between that will impact either for positive or negatively on the fulfillment of the goal. There are certain goals in which the impact is direct. And this is important because then we can actually see this association. Perhaps in some studies, we will say almost a correlation. But again, we don't have still enough empirical study to show that. But this just shows how important it is to understand how we're using AI in a way that fulfills the SDGs, but also to understand in what cases AI can possibly hinder the progress, either by not having AI implemented, or in some cases, that AI and the mere usage of it can actually harm communities. And this is incredibly important as we're thinking of the ethical landscape of AI, of perhaps the understanding that this technological innovation has some issues and some loopholes when it comes to a social understanding of what society should be. So here I just try actually to take each of the goals and very briefly to see what we can do with this. So there are different studies. I was trying to compile some of them. And this one I like because it was kind of simple and show quite simplistically what we can do in each goal to show that AI is actually relevant. So, I mean, when we're speaking on good health and well-being, goal number 3, predictive analytics makes all the difference. We saw this in COVID-19. We actually saw the importance of AI when it comes to predicting viruses, patient diagnosis. There are, of course, caveats to this because it's not always perfect, but this is a very strong use case. No poverty, when we're actually able to map heat maps of employment, unemployment, understand how the different landscape is working when it comes to getting jobs. These are all things that AI can do. Quality education, of course, and that's the beauty actually. Then if we took this, in silo, just analyzing, in an ideal world, if I took AI in a perfect society, and I try to examine some of these goals, such as, again, reduced inequalities and mapping areas in which we're seeing certain discrimination and biases, and then seeing what kind of recommendation we can provide. Speaking of clean water, how we're actually able to predict certain loopholes in water management, and then accordingly to have real-time analytics and delivery. And it goes on, and actually each of the goals can have very strong AI cases, but it's not the reality. And that's why it's important to discuss about this ambiguity, because it's not just that AI is wrong or the SDGs are wrong. It's the fact that sometimes we cannot have a very simplistic view of reality and thinking that by combining two things, we'll get exactly what we want. As humanity, and generally human society, is very complex. There are a lot of non-technological factors shaping the way that AI will shape the SDGs. And this is an important notion to take and understand. We are thinking on the complex impact of AI on any human discipline. But it is also important to be positive. So specifically in education, especially after COVID, we've seen a very strong increase in AI applications for this purpose, because ideally it's supposed to be a very strong agent. So we're speaking here about goal number 4, quality education. We can have personalized learning thanks to AI. We're having chatbots that enable us to actually say what are the things that we're better at, what are the things that we should work more, what kind of courses we should take to actually become better. And ideally, this can be a very strong factor when we want to increase educational outcomes and make sure that the gaps are not so high. But clearly, an environment, this is probably the strongest case study. In addition, of course, to the first part of the session, covering a bit more on tech and sustainability, AI has been researched quite substantially when it comes to its impact on environmental challenges, how we can actually protect the environment. There are endless case studies, because the core features of AI, of the way to analyze previous data and give smart recommendation of real-time tracking, we can support disaster resilience. And we're already seeing different case studies about this across the world. We can support air infrastructure, water management in rural areas, and plenty of things are heavily connected to the SDGs, as there are several goals connected to climate action. And I'll touch it afterwards about the fact that actually all the SDGs are kind of hyperlinked and connected, because we live in a world in which education and employment cannot be separate and cannot be discussed separately from the environment and climate action. And in many ways, communities are impacted by the intersection of both, which is another ethical discussion that will be relevant for this. But if we're just thinking, for instance, of all the SDGs that speak about the climate, there are so many cases today that we're saying using AI. either by mapping icebergs, trying to fight deforestation, mapping this in real time. We have so many applications for weather predictions, specifically natural hazards and disasters, that has been quite beneficial in different places globally. Waste management, where I got to work a bit more in India, incredibly valuable when it comes to real-time storage and predictive maintenance. Ocean cleanup, or supporting a vast number of SDGs that impact the life of communities. And when we're thinking of it, if I as an individual have a place that is sustainable and I can live in it without worrying for certain weather conditions, I can also take care of my education in a way, not always. But I have better options to take care of the other goals. And this is something that is important when we're speaking on the intersection between the goals. And even today, we're supposed to speak on climate and environment, and we are. And yet, all the SDGs, education, gender, infrastructure, they are all connected to each other, because we're trying to think how society is supposed to look like in an ideal manner, and how we can use technology to make sure that we're reaching that. So there are, again, additional case studies that I think are important, but we won't touch all of them, because, again, they do use the core features of AI. And that's, I think, the interesting part, which is the paradox of sustainable AI. Because many people who are doing sustainability work will tell you that there is something quite paradoxical about the fact that we're using a certain technology that can actually require the amount of energy of a nation. So we're solving several problems using AI, but then we are worsening the energy crisis. AI currently is quite costly, increasing the digital divide, meaning we are also, in a way, alienating other communities, indigenous communities that do not have access to this. And then we're expecting to see that AI is supporting the SDGs. And this is something that should be clear here, that despite the very strong promise of what AI can do, there are still a lot of paradoxical outputs connected to the fact that AI is not spread equally. It's not understood equally. There is a gender bias, there is an ethnicity bias. And to get this social understanding, we also need to be mindful of the fact that the delivery of any SDG is more complex, and it varies across cultures, across religions, across geographies. And this is interesting, because this actually shows that not everything is promoted using AI. So there are, of course, the targets that AI promotes. As you can see, AI is known to be a very good one when it comes to environment. Economy, society, a bit less. The question is why? And also in society, you see that there are more targets inhibited by AI. And when I saw this, the first thing that came to my mind was the fact that actually, when we're thinking on an environment, it's maybe the only discipline in which humans are not involved directly, meaning they're worsening, they are the ones who can improve, but environment humans are part of, but they are not the main players. Economy, still pretty much driven by humans, GDP and generally. Society, we are also usually addressing it as human. Meaning, when we're thinking of the intersection of AI, the SDGs, as we might see more and more human involvement, it might be harder for us to achieve the SDGs using AI. Now, this is an assumption that I'm raising. There might be plenty others. And some might say that, again, because the environment is such a big concept, it's very macro, it doesn't go to the nuances of economy and society. Maybe that's why it's easier to enable it. Maybe there are more goals connected to climate. And many others will say we cannot really disconnect environment from economy and society, which is a valid point. And still, this shows that the picture is not always as glamorous as many sources will try to show when it comes to the very vast spread of AI out there. This is a more nuanced visual showing exactly what are the parts that we're actually seeing regression, meaning certain goals. And if we're looking at goal number 12 and 8, we are actually seeing that AI is actually taking this goal backwards, meaning we were in better phase without AI, which is kind of surprising because we think innovation always promotes us. But it's not always the case when we are thinking on the intersection of the world before technology and the world after it. And it's not to come to say that we should remove AI, not at all. There is still a lot of progress and we're still learning how to use it. But it's also to understand that we're still having some hurdles when it comes to fully implement it for social causes. So we need to test it and expand our use to make sure that we'll see more greens when it comes to these visuals. And the bigger question, and with that I'll be close to finishing and we can move to our next part. And it's the reason of why AI does not fully fulfill its social purpose. And there are various reasons for that, and I'll touch it more in the second part. And I do want to say that we're seeing a lot of cultural aspects of AI. So if I want to summarize in a way the connection between climate, AI, SDGs, is, in my view, the fact that AI is a much more cultural phenomenon. It has such a strong sociocultural bias. And we're seeing this in the issues in translations. We're seeing it in the fact that there are so many linguistic biases that happen online and inside conflicts in the physical world. We've seen this in Brazil and Myanmar. We've seen the very interesting case of content moderation by Meta and how it almost led to very strong critiques on Vietnam War as well. And even today, we're seeing different cases of this cultural perceptions of how AI is being delivered in society. And this is important because we also need to understand that when we're speaking on society, on environment and SDGs, we have this very tricky intersection between different factors. And our role is also to understand how we are building a society that puts all of them together. And we'll touch this a bit more in the second part on the ethics and how South Asia is addressing it. And we can move now, I think, to our third speaker.
I think my still with me, but Abdul would be joining us after the breakout. But guys, I hope you're all enjoying. We are going to enter into a breakout room in a couple of minutes, so keep with us. But as Maya mentioned, now we are addressing ethical AI. So how can we put all we've been discussing? So all this cross strategy between tech and ESG, how the Sustainable Development Goals crossover with AI. And that was amazing to see, Maya, how there's studies and how to connect. So if anyone has a specific SGD that is looking forward, I think there's a lot of content of what Maya prepared here. But now I'm going to share back my screen. This is going to be a shorter part, so we can focus on the breakout room. But just opening it up again, what Maya brought is, when we are talking about ethical AI, well, at least when we discuss technology, what are the three main things that we are concerned about? The first thing, and not necessarily in this order, but the first thing, and Maya brought this up, is fairness and bias mitigation. So are we, when the AI is bringing the content or making a decision, is this fair? Is this inclusive? Is this diverse? Is this coming from a baseline of something that we do not want to extrapolate? The second thing is transparency and accountability, which is, do we understand where this is coming from? So do we know why the AI is making this decision? And can we hold the AI accountable for making this decision? That's one really risky thing when we are talking about technology or AI agents, is when we transfer from a human to an AI and we automatize the whole system, and we do not put a human as a supervision, the AI will make the decision fully through. And who is going to be held accountable if something illegal is made, or if something that carries something with prejudice, or something that is a war acclamation, or something that we as a society, we don't agree with. So that's understanding on how the decision is made is really important. And last but not least is the privacy and security. We're going to go deep into this topic, so I'm just going to cover it fast. So where's the data coming from? As did the AI model got this data in the right manners? It was authorized to do so. And is this data protected? Is this data valid? Is this data real? So these are the main questions. And I'm going to pair up with Maya to address this ethical AI. And what I suggested here is to present to you a bit, and I don't want to bore you on a Saturday with this, but I really wanted to bring to you how an AI is made. We're not going to jump too much into the technicalities, and I know this image can be a bit scary at first, but it's going to be really easy, but you're going to understand why are these concerns. The first thing that we can't forget, and if you leave just with that, then I will have a blast, which is every AI is made up with data. A lot, but a lot of data. So every time a new AI comes, a new AI model comes, the first things that they say is the amount of parameters they have. So it was trained with 1.2 billion, 3 billion, 4 billion, 5 billion. So parameters are not necessarily words. So parameters goes from the baselines of the tokens, which can be splits of the words or expressions. It really depends on how the model is trained. But the main thing is a lot of data. And this is where the problem starts. When we need that amount of data, you have to get as much as possible. And this is the first concern, is where am I getting this data from? And one of the examples that Maya brought up is the problems on languages. Why? Because there is so much more public available data into English than into other languages. So they are cultural expressions. They are not translated into English. So when the model learns much more into the baseline of English, then it will just spread around all the personalization and the characteristics of a specific language. And this is just one example. So just for you to have an idea, it is estimated, it's not true, but it is estimated that a big model like ChatGPT only has 3% of any consideration of Portuguese whatsoever. From the whole model, we only touch in less than 3%. It is accounted that more than 85% is in English. So think about all the languages that we are talking about and get these percentages. So the first thing is this, is data. Where do we have this abundance? And the second is, how are we getting those? Because if you need, as a company that is developing the model, if you need to pay for the data, it's going to rise the costs, because you still have the processing, you still have the engineering, you still have the energy consumption. So you try to get as much public data as possible. And when you're getting public data, then the data can be superficial, it can be not relevant, and that's when you might be interested in capturing data that is not publicly available or is not necessarily allowed to be captured. And that's where the second problem starts. Are we complying with privacy? Are we complying with transparency. And also go through there. There are many ways for you to train the AI, which is the blue box here. So you have supervised learning and supervised learning. You have neural networks. You have accumulated neural networks and generated and neural networks. You have transformers, reinforced learning. There are many ways for you to train an AI. And normally you mix up all of them. But one thing that is really important for everyone here to know is first, it's pure mathematics. So it's the transformation of everything that we know from data, from structured data into ones and zeros, and then it's a mathematical dispersion. The second thing is that we don't fully understand how it works. So there are a lot of scholars and a lot of studies trying to understand how neural networks, especially transformers, work. And most of them validated that there are things that we don't fully understand how they work. So that's the second thing on transparency that is important for us to know. And the third thing is that, like most of the models, the big models that we know today, the generative AI, like ChatGPT, they are semi-supervised, which means that they are mostly trained without human supervision, and then they have a fine tuning with human supervision, which is the pink box here. But then is who is the human supervising it? And why are we choosing to supervise? Because we can't supervise the whole model. And that's where the human bias also pass through the model. And depending on what the company allows or agrees that is allowed, it passes on. So types of companies. So for example, the Claude model from Anthropic has a bigger worry into the market, into transparency, how the model is trained when compared to OpenAI is exactly because of that, because they need to explain how they're training the model and they are selecting the things. So I didn't want to go too deep into this, but it's really important to understand how an AI is made, to understand why it's so challenging to address this, because it's really expensive. So when we're talking about building this model, it's not easy for a Joe Doe to just saying, okay, I'm doing my model on my own. If you think about the Gemini, the last one from Google, if I'm not mistaken, just the training part of it costed like $150 million to train just one of the models. So it's a lot of money that makes it inaccessible for most of us to have our own model trained. And that brings the challenges. Maya is going to explore more, but especially when talking like on sustainability and ESG, that's why we have a lot of misinformation, because it's easy to spread around and create information that are not necessarily true, especially when the AI hallucinates and create information on their own. The second part is deepfake. As AI spreads around, it gets harder and harder to understand what is real and what is not. And the third part is where is the data coming from? And these are the things that we're going to explore now. So Maya, I will pass over to you.
For sure, thank you. I think that due to time constraints, we might need to move to breakout rooms. So let's.
Okay, I will open it here.
I'm sorry, Tammy, could you also create the breakout rooms? I didn't know the number of rooms you guys wanted to create, so I'll give you that opportunity to create the breakout rooms.
I don't know, Maya. I think with this amount, I think we can stay all together, right?
Yeah, I think we can all stay all together instead of having into breakout rooms. So that's also wanted to notify our lovely audience. Could you please put down any questions that you guys have so far based on the expert session that we have right now, based on the sustainability and AI topics? Could you please note down any messages, any questions that you have in the group chat? Thank you very much, guys.
So
Or
Maya,
you can do that as well. Thank you.
yeah, Maya, as we discussed, I just brought in so everyone that wants, just for us to quick start. I'm not going to do a break. If we're staying one, that let's just stay in this room and do a breakout session. But as Botan just suggested, we created this. Just scan the QR code, or you can just, if you're in the computer, just type down slido.com and put this code in for us to quick start on from everything that you heard up to now. What are the three biggest challenges that you want to address and discuss in this session now regarding ESG and tech and how they cross over? What are your doubts? What are your questions? And what you're seeing? So just type in what you're going to see out, and just to organize our thoughts and the discussion here. Don't be shy.
Yeah, guys, scan that QR code, and you can also visit that website and put the code that's the hash 3749059. Then from there, lovely humans will be able to get lovely human Sami and Maya will be able to get the questions that you guys have in your mind. Please feel free to ask them as much questions as you guys can. They're very much willing to help. Thank you very much. Due to the factor of time, Sami I wanted to suggest, is there necessity, is it a necessity for us to break into the breakout rooms, or we just continue as it is? And due to a factor of time, I would love us to advance on to a presentation by Mr. Abdul Majid, if that is okay with you.
Yeah, of course. Let's just say the challenges. So, for example, the first one were the big cyber threats, I believe. There's a limit of 25 characters, guys. So Abdu is going to address this for sure. So it's next in line. So if anyone have any other questions, just for us to take a breath and organize ourselves, and then Abdu is just going to take over and present.
Just a quick question, Tammy and Maya,
yeah,
amazing
please.
job. All right, so with from a cyber angle, what are some of the big top things from an ESG? I know the issue of access control, privacy concerns, potential of ingesting any malicious data into the large language model, some of those. But what are some, if I decide to carve a niche in cybersecurity and ESG, what would be like your top two areas that are big out there today?
Abdul, do you want to jump into this question?
Yes, thank you, Kandi, for this question. I believe the main thing with cybersecurity depends on the three pillars, which is confidentiality and integrity and availability. And the main thing related to sustainability is the availability of the data and the sensitivity of the data and the accuracy of the data. So these are the main things that you have to make sure to base on when you try to make sure this aligned with cybersecurity things.
Okay, got it. So is it a very common trend out there? And I saw, the data I think Tammy shared around some of those concerns from leadership, CISO level executives or C-level executives. And, cybersecurity was, I think, number 4. So when you go to the boardroom, is it common practice now that everyone talks about, okay, cyber's impact on sustainability in general? Is it a common discussion specifically?
Yes, for me, it's really important that when you talk to the C-level that's about the cybersecurity, you have to talk business language with them, so they will not understand when you talk about technical thing that I need this, I need that for or a budget for to do some tools. They will not understand exactly what this tool will do, but you have to translate it on a cost-based reduction and sustainability of the systems and the ecosystems, so that will help you to have a strength to get what you want from this kind of request for budgeting and these kind of things.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Abdul, if I can add 2 things. One of the things is I saw a question on bias. and then crossing with data. And I fully agree with the executives. One thing that is really interesting to say is I saw one quote one day that is, the history books normally don't tell the stories of the ones who lose. They just tell the version of the story of the ones that won. And this for me is where the bias starts. So everything that we have written on data is normally the version of the one that stood and won. So that's where bias starts, because it really depends on who is telling the story that will shift what are the consequences and the outcomes. So I'm pretty sure in each one of your cultures, you can think about something that said, okay, if you ask that person, they are going to say this, but in the true story is that happened. And that's where bias starts. Bias starts when we have a version that is not necessarily the one that we all agree, but for some reason was the one that got prioritized. And put this in the whole perspective that we already discussed. And the second thing on data and executives, and I fully agree with Abdul, is if we try to win by the technicality, we're going to lose because it's too complex. So I think that we need to win by the purpose. We need to be aligned on the why we're doing this and why we want to do this, because it's going to be a really rough and tough part, and we're going to cross this in the use cases, but sometimes we're going to have to put money or where our mouth is. And this is hard, guys. It's really nice to talk, but it's hard to do. And now Abdu is going to cover the cybersecurity, and then we're going to close with the use cases and have again another space for Q&A. So be prepared for the Q&A. But keep that in mind when listening to cybersecurity. There is a hard decision coming into where are decisions and where are our principles when deciding those. But Abdu, just from the matter of time, the floor is super yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Tammy. I will share my screen. Assalamu alaikum. Hi, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to explain to you the alignment between the cybersecurity and the sustainability, how we can make secure future with cybersecurity and sustainability. Yeah, here in this topic, we will cover like several things, introduction about cybersecurity and also understanding the environmental sustainability and the intersection between cybersecurity and sustainability. And what is the common cybersecurity threats and the impact of cybersecurity attacks, environmental data, and green computing practice. Case study in cybersecurity and sustainability and regulatory framework supporting the integration. Data protection strategies for sustainable industry and emerging technology in cybersecurity sustainability, community impact, and cybersecurity failures. So in the conclusion, we will bridge between cybersecurity and sustainability, how they are aligned together. Before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Abdul Majid Saeed. I'm cybersecurity expert, like 25 years in the field in cybersecurity and information technology. First of all, we need to understand what exactly the cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is like a practice and processes and policies which safeguard systems and sensitive data from cyber threats that to be lost or to be compromised, ensuring that the operational integrity on the privacy, which before my colleague Tammy talked about this, about the data integrity, are this information coming is true or not? And the privacy of the data, is it secure or not? So the second thing, also the technology reliance trend. As the technology is going on, always we found a new emerging threats, because whenever there is a technology, that means there is a new threats, there is a new way of attacking and way of compromising the systems. So the vulnerability to digital threats escalate for individuals and organization also. Both of them, you will find challenges on that. The implications of cybersecurity threats. Cybersecurity threats also can make a very huge damage of reputation a while or a long time. Understanding the environmental sustainability, say that the environmental sustainability is responsible to resource use. Environmental sustainability focus on using the resources responsibly to ensure the availability of for future generation. For example, if there is an issue on these resources, that's mean they will be a waste. They will be there is no longevity of the ecosystem, which the generation cannot be make use of it. So also the second point is the waste minimization strategies. We have to make a very good strategies on this waste to reduce the practice. The waste to reduce the reduction of the practice are essential to decrease environmental impact and promote the resource efficiency. Maintaining diverse of ecosystem so that you should have like a diverse ecosystem will help you to go in resilience and make a balance on supporting all environmental health. Why would that? Because if you depends, for example, on one server or on one system, if this server or this system is down, that's mean there is no high availability. You will lose for example, the system that you are using. For example, if it is related to electricity or water or something that's very important for health. Intersection between the cybersecurity and sustainability. For the smart grids, cybersecurity should make sure that to secure these smart grids, because if any losses happen or any compromise happen from these cybersecurity attacks, will make this secure smart grids be down and will affect the infrastructure, for example. Like using the electricity or losing like a water supply or oil supply or anything that related to these systems. Also, the renewable energy protection, secured an energy renewal system mitigate the risk of attack and safeguarding the data integrity, promoting sustainable practice. Safeguarding the data integrity, we are saying that a lot of times, as most of our decisions and AI or artificial intelligence decisions related to data, if this data is not, the authenticity of this data or the integrity is not accurate, that's mean there is an issues on the decisions itself. We have also the IoT, the Internet of Things. You know that most of us are using a smartphone. We are using smart systems, for example, opening the doors and the lights, and all of these things is related to a small device connected to the internet named the IoT, Internet of Things. So in these IoTs, you should be make sure that you have very good measures that to secure this kind of application related to Internet of Things. Because if you lose this device, that means you may lose your power supply, you may lose to enter your home systems. You cannot do a lot of things that which the IoT will help you to be more smart. So what is the common cybersecurity threats? What usually happens when there is a threat from cybersecurity, or what's the common threat that this is a small threats that we are talking about? For example, the malware threats and phishing and ransomware consequences. The malware threats, it's a kind of a program that compromises the operating systems and damaging the systems, which hindering the essential sustainability initiatives and resources management. Also, you know that when sometimes you open your email or sometimes advertisement comes to you in the WhatsApp, please click this link, so you will get a free pizza, or you will get, like, for example, a gift for you. You click on the link and you don't know exactly what is in the background. There will be an attacker on the outside, could take all your information from your mobile or from your computer. And the ransomware also encrypting the data. Sometimes this data is very essential for human life. For example, MRI in the hospitals, or these devices, you are doing an operation that which is working with an ecosystem, and the attacker managed to make encryption to this system, so you will not get it until you will pay the ransom, which is really also very huge damage, and could affect the sustainability toward the recovery actions. We will get like some case of studies that happens. For example, in 2017, ransomware being attacked the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, which hindered the environmental assessment, threatening also the data integrity, which is crucial for the sustainability of the systems. Also, all smart water facility, there is a cyber attack that happened for the old smart, jeopardizing the water safety, highlighting that the vulnerability in critical environmental monitoring system. This very important thing that this one of this case study, the water is very, very essential, and we cannot handle this kind of attacks which affect these systems. For example, the water safety and or the electricity. Also, the agriculture data compromises, which has happened before, attacks the agriculture data systems. This attack made or led to misinformation that undermining the sustainable farming decisions. So you need to plant something, and then the information that you have, it is incorrect, which will that's been, you cannot make a decision, you cannot sustain this kind of system of the agriculture. So we usually hear about green computing practice. What does it mean? Green computing practice promotes the energy efficiency. Use the energy is very efficient, and minimizing the electronic waste. Why we say that minimizing the electronic waste? Because sometimes this waste could affect the reputation or the company. Because, for example, let me give you one example of that. One of the companies that doing the disposal for their computers, and they are using an agency to do that. They after they give this company, I believe one of these engineers took this waste, and then they found a hard disk which is having very crucial data, and they sold it in the dark web. This formation, which is very important, affect the company reputation and give them like a very huge losses. Also here, and the second point, we talk about the energy efficient technologies. Utilizing the energy efficient technologies can reduce the operational cost, and also strengthening the cybersecurity resilience through the enhancing the system performance. The electronic waste management, as I mentioned to you before, it's very important and protects the sensitive data while supporting the environmental sustainability by recycling and responsibly disposing the devices. Here also another case studies that happened in 2021, which is affecting the vulnerability of critical infrastructure impacting the fuel supply. This case study helped them to know exactly where is the vulnerability in these systems, and they fixed it. The second thing also in ENBW, cyber attack response, a German engine energy company fortifies cybersecurity after breach and enhancing their systems resilience. So whenever there is attack happens, so for sure there is a lesson learned. You will know exactly what is the issues in your system and what is the vulnerabilities that affecting your system, and then you can fix it and make sure that not to happen again. Also, the lessons that we understand from old smart incident, the water facility breach exemplifies how crucial cybersecurity to protect the public health and environmental safety. Let us here talk about, when you are talking about sustainability and cybersecurity, also there is a regularity framework that's supporting this integration. For example, the GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, promotes the data protection and privacy while encouraging sustainability through the energy efficient compliance measure. Also, if you adopt an ISO, for example, we have a lot of ISO, for example, ISO 27001 or ISO for business continuity or risk management. This help in organization integrating cybersecurity frameworks with the environmental management and holistic compliance. So regularity synergies should be harmonizing cybersecurity and environmental regulation together to foster and enhance the organization strategies and ensuring compliance and resilience at the same time. Data protection strategies for sustainable industries. So how can I make sure that my company or I have to have like strategies to help to protect my data? For example, we need to do data encryption so that anyone could get this data, could not do anything with it. Also, we have to make a lot of security assessments for the systems to make sure these systems are reliable and a longevity of the ecosystem is fine. Also, the most important pillar in this is the employee training. The employee training or the awareness for the employees or the individuals. Why? Because we said that this is the weakest link in cybersecurity. Why? Because usually the human being is the weakest link, because usually with the phishing and these kind of things is very, if the individual is not aware, he will not know exactly how to deal with this kind of phishing. And we know that now the technology is emerging, and the attackers every day they introduce a new ways to deceive the people. There is an emerging technologies in security and sustainability which we have to focus. For example, the artificial intelligence technologies, which will improve the environmental monitoring accuracy and identifying anomalies swiftly while ensuring data security and trust. Also, when we are talking about the blockchain and transparency, the blockchain, the best thing in the blockchain that the records that you put in the blockchain is very authentic, and the integrity of the data could not be compromised. Is very very difficult to compromise. Why? Because if you need to compromise it, if for example we have like a long blockchain, you have to attack at least 51% of this chain. Then you can access the data, which is very difficult. Sometimes these chains could be millions of computers. Here also we talk about the Internet of Things, which we are talking about before a while, that this Internet of Things, which now most of the human being is using, and the smartphone, smart cities, and all of these things, we have to make sure these applications, to mitigate this risk, we have these applications to be secure in order to maintaining the data integrity and operational efficiency. So the community impact of cybersecurity failures, if there is a failure in cybersecurity, that means a public health could be there is a risk, because cybersecurity can jeopardize the essential services, threatening the public health and safety in local communities. Also, we will lose the trust. If you deal with one company, you make your insurance with one company, and this company being compromised, that means you will lose the trust on this company. You will move to another company. And also case study impact, the old smart of the waters facility breach exemplifies how cybersecurity threats can be profoundly affect the community health and resilience. And at the end, but not least, that bridging the cybersecurity and sustainability, we have to interconnect the strategies related to cybersecurity and the sustainability together to make sure that fostering the resilience of the solutions and future challenges. And also holistic approach is necessary. That's mean when integrating cybersecurity with sustainability initiatives, create synergies between both of them that from when there is an initiative from the beginning, you integrate cybersecurity on this initiative and promoting eco-friendly practice. Also resilience and futures together, prioritizing the unity of cybersecurity and sustainability efforts could pave the way for ensuring and enduring the resilience in the communities, which is very important. So all of this, I try to make the things is very brief because we know that cybersecurity is a huge topic and we cannot cover most of it, but I'm trying to do my best to cover up the part which is related to sustainability. Thank you so much for your.
Thank you so much. That was very well done. I really enjoyed the way you tied it to sustainability. So one question I had was, I know with regulation, what about with let's say utility industry, critical infrastructure? So when you speak to leadership around that, so you just tie it to how the impact on sustainability and potential loss or so because it has to be business language, right? So I'm going to tie it to the potential numbers in terms of loss, then reputational damage to our business, then potential fines from the regulator. Is that the line of thought we should have?
Yeah, this is very, very important question, which is, for example, in case here we have a framework, which is especially for the critical systems. That's mean we have this framework we have to be compliant with. We have to focus on these critical systems. And if we do a protection for the normal system, we have to do a double protection for the critical systems. Why that? Because the critical system is very essential for the organization and longevity of the ecosystems and also the sustainability.
Got it. Thank you. Very well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Ahmed.
Thank you very much.
Right.
I think
Hello?
Mr. Bimbo has a question. Please go ahead, Mr. Bimbo.
Yeah, sorry. I let me put on my camera. I listened to the SMEs, that subject matter experts, and I'm still wondering, can there be environmental sustainability, or let's say positive environmental sustainability with AI, in view of the fact that AI consumes so much electricity, like ×3 or ×5, if we look at the data centers. And these data centers generate the electricity from probably baseload fossil fuel, which also contributes to the GHG. So how do you reconcile that? The second thing you were talking about, green computing. Green computing uses electricity, baseload electricity through AI and also the data centers. So how do you reconcile that with environmental ESG goals in view of the fact we have global warming on the other side? I'm just wondering, are we going in circles and refusing to address the fact that we've not made much progress? We are discussing compliance a lot, but the reality is that the greenhouse gases or environmental warming is continuing because of the tools we are using. To be able to do AI, you need battery load power. Battery requires mines. Mines require dust. Dust pollute.
Bimbo, that's a great question. I will bring up with the cases. If we see the shareholders report and the sustainability report at Microsoft, released the last trimester, they walked backwards 3 years when talking about sustainability. And the reason they did that is that just last year they spent the triple of energy they were supposed to, right? Based on the goals they set to themselves because of the AI competition. So the quick answer, and this is my opinion, this is a really tough question to address. The quick answer is that we haven't found a way to put the sustainability goals above the business goals. That's how I see. That doesn't mean that this needs to be the way forward. There are a lot of companies that are trying to create ways to, one, use technology to reduce the amount of energy consumption for the processing of the AI models. So if you follow that on, what they are trying to do is reach the same level of efficiency, but reducing the size of the model, and for so reducing the amount of energy consumption of the model itself. So there are a lot of companies focusing on that. We haven't reached the sweet spot yet, but if you think about like GPT-3, it's pretty recent. So it shifted the world really fast, and we're still trying to figure that out. So that would be the answer for the first question. I don't think, and this is a decision, there are companies that are prioritizing their sustainable goals, but yeah, they are lacking behind, because the way to compete over AI on today's world, it is energy consumption based, and we still do not have a green energy based matrix to supply enough energy for those investments. I want to believe that this is a time manner. I was discussing with a friend of mine, and for me, when we're talking about future, that is a decision that we'll need to make as a society. I think that there are ways, if we now invest time and money to find ways to create more energy efficient models, and accelerate the conversion matrix of the fuels, we might have a path there. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, because there are a lot of developments into technology. Let's think about raw materials. For you to build up the data centers, the waste of it, and the energy controlling of it, and the raw materials of it. So it all falls back into the circular economy. And today we use like less than 5% of everything that goes into the waste. So it's not just about the energy consumption itself, it's about understanding the whole system and how we are going to fix the whole system. Not an easy task. If I should do this is Tammy speaking, okay? If I should do an assessment today, I think we are losing the war. And I really hope that we keep investing in finding ways to make it sustainable, and we can still develop the energy and the AI and the consumption for everyone, and at the same time create a better world. But I do not have the answer for your question. I hope it worked out, Abdu. Good luck there. I do not have a better answer to your question. That's a big challenge. One of the things, and I wanted to share is exactly this: is we are talking about AI and the impacts of an AI, and it's undiscussable. That's great, but there is the negative side of it. And today, the negative side is just putting us backtrack into everything that we accumulated so far into the sustainability, especially the big firms. Because as I told you, the models, they are not made by the John Does. They are made by the big farms, and the big farms, they are also the ones responsible for the big waste and the big energy consumption and everything that shifts the needle. So short answer is your reading is correct. We haven't done the good job up to now. If we keep that way, we are not going to reach sustainability. And that puts a big problem into our agendas and our table, which is how can we drive this if this is our purpose? And that's the question that we are having here, right? Is do we want to do this or not? And there are many risks associated with this. You touched just the E from environmental, but if AI keeps accelerating the way it is, we are going to have a huge workforce problem in the next 10 years. And we're not even touching that topic. So there are plenty of things that open up from there.
Thank you very much, Tammy. But the question, the jury is still out, and the risk of greenwashing is still high.
Yeah, but the thing about the greenwashing, and I fully agree with you, is greenwashing will sort out the marketing problem, but it won't sort out the shareholders report. And those are two different things. One thing is I'm selling more because I'm saying I'm green. The problem is that we won't have a second Earth. So if we don't have the raw materials and the things to build up, then we will have a shortage problem. It doesn't matter if you're saying that you're green or not. We might have a shortage. So I fully agree with you, but I think that greenwashing is one thing that we can control as consumers. One thing that we can't control is how Microsoft defines their agenda on where to put investments. And this is where the problem is coming. They are not following the goals that they define it themselves. If you think about countries are following back on tracks really far from the whole investments. But yeah, it's a big challenge, maybe the biggest challenge of the decade that we are going to face, how to balance the two things. Should we keep evolving technologically, or should we rearrange everything to make it sustainable? And that's a really hard decision to make.
Thank you very much, Sami, for answering very, very useful questions. Also, due to the factor of time, I would love to basically wrap up our session. I believe there's so much amazing thoughts that you guys want to share. Also, you guys there's so much information that you guys have consumed, and you guys would love to basically air out what you have on mind. So I would suggest our experts, Sami, Maya, and Abdul Majid, to drop their LinkedIn link there. You guys can connect with them further from there and also ask them any questions. I have great news for you guys. So inshallah, as you know, our Skillweed and Gleac mentorship sessions we are left with 2 more weeks. So basically on August 17th, I would love to give you guys good news that we're gonna have a graduation. And yeah, I hope you guys are very much excited for it, because it's been a very, very exciting journey with amazing experts coming to share their expertise. And also one more thing that one more request that I'd love everyone to do. Could everyone kindly visit Padlet? Also, as you visit the website, kindly let us know how you guys are going to basically implement the information and the expertise knowledge that you guys have received in either your personal life or your business life, mostly your business life. Also wanted to mention again the fact that you guys are going to graduate on we're going to have 2 more sessions in the next 2 weeks, and then we're going to have a graduation. I hope you guys are excited for that. There's nothing as amazing as having a good party after going through amazing sessions with our experts. I would love also to thank our experts, Sami, Maya, and Abdul, for making time and also sharing the information, and also giving us tips on how we can become successful in, sustainable in the AI industry and the cybersecurity sector. So thank you guys very much. One more thing that I'd love you guys to do, could everyone share the video, so that we can say hi to each other, see our lovely faces, we familiarize each other with ourselves. Can you guys share your video, please? I'd suggest that. And I hope you guys are excited for your graduation. All of us, all of the experts will be there. I've been your moderator today, Botan Abdullahi, the youngest tech mentor at Gleac. Thank you guys very much. I would love you guys to all share your videos, so that I can take a picture and, for us saying hi. Kindly guys, let me see who's not shared the video. Ebi, Yinka, Jamin, please guys, kindly share your video. Please, yeah, and let me take
You're driving.
Someone is driving, so let's take it the way it is right now.
Oh, someone is driving. Okay, no worries, no worries, no worries. Let me see how I can expand this, so that we can all yeah, so that yeah. So allow me to take a picture of us. Could you guys raise your hands and say hi? Give a high five. Okay. Okay, just one more thing. Let me take a screenshot. Thank you guys very much for making your time. I really do appreciate it. If you guys have any more questions, I believe our lovely experts have shared the LinkedIn information. You guys can reach out to them anytime, any day. And just a kind reminder, please go visit padlet.com and share your plan on how you guys are going to use this information and how you guys are going to implement it in your business life and also in your personal life. I would love to thank you guys again for making it on a very short notice. It's a Saturday. Thank you guys for making time, and I wanted to wish you guys a lovely, lovely weekend. Thank you again, Sami and Maya and Mr. Abdul, for making time and presenting your amazing expertise. I would love to pray to God and bless you guys for making time, and may God help you guys succeed in the future. Amen.
Thank
Sami,
you,
Maya,
guys. Have a
Abdul,
great
awesome job,
Saturday and
folks.
weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Hi, everyone.